Welcome to NocBro Nation.
Welcome back, guys.
Hello, everyone. Today we're here to do a review of episode 12 of The Walking Dead, The Key.
The Key, and when we find out what the key meaning is, it was very strange, but made a lot of sense, and yeah.
I hope you tell me, because I must have forgotten.
The key?
The key.
We'll get to it.
No. This was probably one of my favorite episodes of the season so far. It was a really awesome episode. I loved it. Enjoyed
it was good. I think it was directed by Greg Nicotero.
Of course.
And
that's probably why.
It jumped back and forth quite a bit throughout, but the flow of it was great.
As any Greg Nicotero produced Walking Dead episode, it did not underwhelm at all. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really great.
So let's get into it. We pick up the episode, and again, we're not going to go scene by scene. We will take it, group by group as far as the people. So we'll start with Negan's area, back at the sanctuary. We get a disgusting scene within the first 5 minutes of the episode, and that is them ripping into the walkers, weaponizing the walker blood on their weapons.
Knives, whatever, everything they have, knives, axes, everything that they have. And I do love the opening scene. You see that nice Negan smile.
Yeah.
And of course, Negan is loading up Lucille as they get into their caravan and everything. Negan has a bucket of blood and guts that he just sets Lucille in.
Yeah,
says,
that.
You look so beautiful.
Yeah. We do get a worried look of Simon, and throughout this episode, we find out, Simon's frustration with Negan. And what was really cool, though, is before the caravan left at Negan's at the sanctuary, we found out a couple things. One, Negan was driving his own car. Mm-hmm. With that said, Simon, who goes to Dwight was actually going to go ahead of the crew on a motorcycle.
Do you think he was going to really go ahead or head back to Rick?
I think he was going to try and head back.
He was probably going to head out of there, yeah. But Simon stopped him, so.
Simon actually coerces him into joining him in the main vehicle, or the vehicle with him, since Negan was on his own.
Yeah, there's what I loved about what they do with the character of Simon is that they have him say a lot of cryptic things to know that, we already know that he's already disobeyed Negan, but there's still more. So he's still kind of playing the part with Negan, letting him know that we're all in and everything. But like you said, you see the look on his face is different. He gives cryptic words like he said to Dwight, the boss man, he says, we do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just those kind of cryptic things like whatever he says, we do, even though we may disagree with it, we do it.
But he's clearly not happy with leadership right now. Not happy with leadership. Yeah. So much so that during the ride. So what they're planning on doing is going to the Hilltop per Negan's orders, and Simon carried out these orders or delivered these orders to the rest of the Saviors. He says, we are not here to kill them. We are here for shock and awe. Yeah. So we are to turn a couple of them, leave them alive, and let them turn, and that's it.
Right.
Just a couple of them, or a few of them.
Yeah, the car ride, the ride with Dwight was very interesting, because this is where we start to see kind of Simon unravel a little bit. Yeah. We kind of, he mentions that, look, these people don't seem to be frazzled. We've thrown so much at them, and they continue to come back. And even Dwight questions him. He's like, so what, you want to not do the plan? And Simon's like, oh, no, we'll do the plan. The big man says it, we're going to get it done. But... yeah. I just don't like the way that things are turning out right now.
And when he says that they, as in the Hilltop, the sanctuary, the kingdom, they're not scaring easily. It's not working.
It's not working.
And I love the comment where he goes, "Come on, Dwight, top guy at a top guy." Yeah.
And he's also saying,
kind of tell me what you're thinking.
Right. He's like, you've been on both sides of the iron, So he's kind of just nudging him a little bit to see if Dwight feels the same way he does. I think he's not point blank coming out and saying we need to take Negan out to take over. He's kind of just getting a feel for what Dwight feels, because Dwight's gone through a lot of loss. His wife was Negan's wife, and he's been on, like he said, both sides of the iron. He helped iron people, and he got himself ironed. Yeah. So it's really cool how they did that.
Yeah, it is. And you also got to think Dwight's probably thinking, look, I barely made it back to this crew thinking that I'm one of them. Is this Simon possibly testing me? Mm-hmm. So he kind of treads lightly. I think both of them at this point are treading lightly. Mm-hmm. I mean, Simon, for fear that Dwight is all in, doesn't want to reveal too much right away.
Right.
So before we get any further with the sanctuary heading towards the hilltop, we do want to cut to the hilltop real quick, simply because
the return.
Rick returns with Michonne.
Yeah. And what I loved about this first part, I'm not sure if you picked up on it, is we know what Rick is going through. Mm-hmm. But Michonne had to basically revert his attention to seeing Judith come in, because right when Rick walked in, he looks over to the side and he sees a bunch of prisoners. And I'm thinking Rick's like, what the hell are a bunch of prisoners doing in here? And Michonne literally comes down and points like, hey, look here. Because his attention was not there.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, his attention was not there. So as he saw Judith, then finally he's like, hi, Judith. His attention goes to the right spot. Yeah, we know what he's going through.
Yeah, he's obviously frazzled.
But I was just thinking that he's looking at these prisoners like, we're here to kill them. Why are they holding prisoners? You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So we get to him visiting, I'm assuming it's Glenn's grave.
Glenn and Abraham.
Yeah. And Daryl comes up and talks to him and basically says, look, the whole thing that I did with the truck and the sanctuary, I just wanted it to be over. I didn't care who was in the sanctuary. Mm-hmm. I just wanted it to be over. I didn't want to sacrifice our people in war.
There was a lot of truth telling in this episode, which was great, which I loved.
And Rick agreed with him.
He did. Yeah. He's like, I didn't care. He said the same thing. I didn't care much about innocent people that may have been in the sanctuary. I just cared about our people. Yeah. So Rick understood. He doesn't blame Daryl, of course. But I love that Daryl finally kind of opened up and said it, because I've been waiting for him to do this. So I thought it was really great.
Yeah, and we get to see Rick kind of still broken up, obviously, over Carl, and just reassuring Daryl that he's going to be okay. Cool. Kind of breaks down a couple of times.
He is going to be okay. Yeah. Daryl can sense, like, dude, like, you're breaking down. And even Daryl mentioned, like, hey, Rick's like, I'm planning on going out with you guys, but Daryl wants to go with him. But he's like, look, we have to separate to kind of cover more ground. And you kind of see the look on Daryl's face, like, really, man? Like, do you want to? Come on, like, let's do this together like the old days. But
so the whole plan is that every half mile there is a hilltop lookout, looking out for, obviously, the incoming sanctuary in the event of a war. And this is where we cut back to Negan and the crew, because Rick is he goes out and he's on a lookout. And as he sees the sanctuary, he is literally about to signal the rest of the crew,
hitting the car horn,
by hitting the car horn. But instead, he gets a shot of Negan in his own car.
And then this is what makes it funny, because as Daryl mentioned to him, oh, I'm sorry, I tried to just end it real quick. Rick does basically the same thing. Yeah. Instead of signaling everyone else, letting them know they're coming, he sees Negan. You know what? I'm going to take care of this myself. Yep. So he does the same thing, which I thought was kind of, come on, dude. Like,
I actually,
you're doing this again.
I didn't like that, but I did like how the next scene, they are going down a street, and there are different alleys as they go down the street. Now, what's important about this is that Simon actually sees a truck coming towards their caravan and does nothing.
This is where we start to see Simon get really shady in this part, because as he gets hit, Negan and Rick kind of drive in another direction, chasing each other. And it takes just a little bit for Simon to react to it.
Yeah, after Simon initially sees the truck coming down, Rick and plows right into Negan's car.
Mm-hmm. And then what's funny, Dwight was the first one that mentions, I think that was Negan's car. And Simon's like, oh, I think that was. Trying to act like, oh, I didn't see it. I mean, he saw it. And,
he clearly saw it. And chose to do nothing.
Right.
So the caravan stops. Negan and Rick's cars go off into an embankment, or they crash.
They don't show how they crash.
They don't show how they crash, but they crash.
It was epic.
And it was a violent crash. But more importantly, Simon instructs the rest of the Saviors to stay put rather than going to search for Negan. Him and Dwight will go and search for Negan.
Well, I do have to mention this, like right when he stopped the caravan and before they got out of the truck, when he told Dwight to tell everybody to calm down, keep their guard up.
Yeah.
Simon smiles. I don't know if you noticed it, but before he got out, Simon smiled because I think at this moment in time, Simon now says, okay, I think it's time to enact my plan.
Here's my opportunity.
Here's my opportunity to take over. So him and Dwight head out on their own. Some of the Saviors, I think her name was Arat. There we go. Yeah. She's kind of skeptical, like, no, we need to do something. He's like, nope, stay here. Be cool.
Yeah.
Let's go find our benefactor.
I did like that.
Yeah.
He's so like precise with the plan.
Yeah.
He doesn't flinch at all.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that about Simon, but obviously I can't stand him.
Right.
The character himself.
Yeah.
So Dwight and Simon go off and they look for him. They have deemed that Negan, after seeing the wreckage, he's not in the car, but there is a trail of blood, seem to think that he is either dead or wandered off and dying. Right.
Even Dwight mentions, well, it could be didn't he have a bucket of blood with him? And they're like, yeah, and this is where Simon actually kind of talks with
pitches his offer to Dwight.
He's like, look, man, you never thought about clipping him? Dwight's like, kind of sarcastically, he's like, no, when he burned my face and took my wife, I never thought about it. Mm-hmm. But Simon's like, look, man, you've been on both sides of the aisle. Let's do this. Let's make sure our people survive. Negan, he's like, the big man is basically saying he's getting sloppy. We need to move on. That was kind of the biggest words out of it. We need to move on.
Yeah, so he basically pitches the same offer that he pitched to Negan, saying, let's expand our operation to further communities outside of the perimeter that we've been in, and find new communities to extort, pretty much, and save our people. He pitches this to Dwight, and he says, but he pitches it in a way to Dwight that makes it seem like it's a good plan and that he's a good person. Like, we're here to save our people.
Right. He's pitching it to... And what's funny is that because we know Dwight, he's not playing both sides, but we know that he's with Rick. So he has to, continue that act that he's on the Savior's side.
Yeah.
The way that he pitches it to Dwight, either it was just Dwight acting it, it seemed like it really affected Dwight, like he really understood what he was really saying.
Yeah.
And it could have just been an act.
But we all know that Simon is psychotic, and that's not really what Simon is going to do.
No,
I mean, not at all. So in the end, Dwight decides to side with Simon. They return to the Savior crew, and basically Simon puts a whole spiel up to the rest of the crew that, hey,
the true plan.
We're still Negan. Let's do this for Negan. Let's, in his memory, let's go annihilate the Hilltop.
He mentions to them, look, we don't know. He tells everybody else, we don't know if he's dead. We don't know if he wandered off, but we're going to enact this plan. What we're going to do is the Hilltop, because they're not understanding, these are his words, we are going to eradicate them. We are going to redact them. He wants blood and only blood. As you know, he destroyed the Heapsters. He wants blood. That's it. Now he has people behind him because Negan's gone.
Yep.
They didn't go look for him. And he's ready to
This is where we kind of see the look on Dwight, like, oh no. Basically like, what did we just create?
Oh.
Hey,
what's interesting is I feel Simon is more dangerous than Negan.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Simon is actually worse than Negan.
Negan is brutal, but Negan has that other side of him to where he can withstand killing people because he wants to save. But Simon?
Here's the main difference between the two. Negan is brutal, yes, but he realizes the resource in people.
Yes.
He realizes that people mean something.
Yes.
Simon does not.
If you double cross Simon, if he feels like you're not understanding their ways, then you're going to be eradicated.
Yeah.
And we'll just start new.
Yep.
That's his ideal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was tough.
It was pretty brutal. But I got to admit, I like the twist.
I love it.
They are kind of remixing and reshifting all out war.
Yeah, reshifting the villains. I mean, we know who the villains are, but
in the end,
you would think it's been more Negan. It hasn't really been a lot of Negan. It's been Simon trying to push Negan to, hey, let's just take them out. This is a war, right? Let's take them out.
Damn.
So
we'll cut now to the wreck scene, actually. So Rick immediately hops out of his wrecked car in a daze. Both of them are in a daze. Negan's actually passed out in the beginning, and awakes to Rick just mowing down the car with his assault rifle, missing every single time.
Yeah, missing every single time. Negan runs into a building, as Rick is firing, of course, because it's nice and loud. Yeah, other walkers are starting to come. Yeah. But what was cool is there's a couple walkers to Rick's left, and he's just walking. He doesn't even move out of the way. It's like the walkers were so slow. He's just walking.
He has, at this point, tunnel vision.
Yeah.
That's all he wants is Negan.
He didn't see the walkers at all.
He does not care.
No.
I think that he may have even noticed them, but didn't care.
No, he just walked.
To him, it's one thing on his mind right now.
Right.
So, did you catch the naked walker?
I did. Yeah. Did you guys catch the naked walker? That's been like a huge thing they've been talking about for so long. So the naked walker.
Yeah. Hey, you got to get some nudity in there.
They should have blurred that stuff out. It's nudity. Come on, people.
Or put some walker stickers on it. It was a guy, I think.
Yeah, it was a guy. That's right.
Anyway, so we get inside the abandoned building.
The battle begins.
Yeah, and it was pretty sweet.
Well, it was a little bit of a battle. A lot of trash talk, mostly.
Yeah, but I love the part where Rick obviously is still firing at Negan. Negan's running up the stairs. And
of course,
Rick runs out of bullets.
Click, click, click. Then he's like, "What is you about to say? What Negan says?"
He's like,
"Hey, prick, Rick."
Hey, prick, Rick. Yeah. And basically is laughing at Rick, noticing that he's out of weapons. Well, what's Rick do? He pulls his axe out and literally just chucks it at Negan, who then proceeds to fall.
And he's hanging on by a thread.
By his hands.
He dropped Lucille because he's like, Lucille! Rick grabs his axe from the wall.
Smiling.
That
was awesome.
We thinking that he was going to chop his hand off. No, Negan lets go, falls down in the pit, and Rick goes after him. And so the trash talking, which I love, which was really good, Rick finally... Or Negan is kind of jawing after him, saying, look, you failed your son, you failed your people, everything was fine until Rick Grimes came along.
Yeah.
And Rick goes right back at him saying, or actually even Negan says again, why didn't you let me save you? And
I could have saved your people.
Yeah.
And this is where Rick says, just like you saved the Heapsters. And
yes, more truth-telling people.
Yeah, immediately Negan's kind of caught back I did save them. But Rick reveals to him that every single Heapster side, he doesn't even tell him Jadis.
He doesn't mention Jadis.
He does not tell him Jadis. He says you wiped them out.
The whole community's wiped out.
And you killed every one of them.
Yeah. And Negan under his breath is like, you son of a bitch.
Yep.
So he knows.
He realizes that Simon lied to him.
And that's not going to be good if Negan gets out of there. But that's why we mentioned about truth-telling, is that we finally got to where now Negan understands that I think even Negan was a little bit skeptical. It seemed like it when Simon first got back, but we'll skip over that.
I don't think so.
It seemed like it. I don't know.
Negan at that point is so confident in his orders.
He can't read people very well.
Yeah, and that especially his right-hand man.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. And we still get some more fighting. We get Rick telling Negan that, look, man, you don't care about people. That's the difference between you and me.
So this whole time, Negan is looking for Lucille.
Yeah, he's looking for her.
And when Rick says you don't care about anyone, all you care about is this bat. But before he actually finds the bat, it's funny because Rick's looking down and Rick starts smiling because he's discovered it.
He laughed. Yeah, he gives a little...
Yeah. Now, what's even more interesting is he holds it up, and the way that he's looking at it, it's almost like he recognizes that it is weaponized.
Mm-hmm. Seems like it.
It seemed like he knew.
Yeah, maybe he knew what they were trying to do.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So, but he lights Lucille on fire,
immediately causing Negan to say, "Don't you touch her!
Don't you touch her!" And Negan, like, once we hear it, like, Rick starts hitting. We also got another term for walkers.
Eaters.
Yes. So Rick is in the dark. He lights his lighter, and there is a door which has been barricaded that says "Eaters" on it.
Yeah.
And so after Rick lights Lucille on fire, he starts hitting that door and breaking off some of the 2x4s that are on there. And of course, Negan finds him. They both go through the door, and that whole room is filled with eaters.
So
and fight ensues.
I do just want to say this because it's just the way that Rick and Negan jaw at each other. But when Rick pushed Negan through the door, and I told you this, but my wife was actually, they're like two little children playing with each other. And honestly, it fits them to the T. It's a little bit more violent and serious.
Yeah.
But the way that these two have gone at it since they've met has just been...
It has.
Childish.
It really has. And between them two, there hasn't really been a major fight between those two.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. So they're not jawing back and forth. They're fighting each other back and forth. Negan does get Lucille back after a couple.
They're in the middle of a room full of about 40, 50 eaters.
Yeah.
And I love the comment from Negan's. He's like, "You're
about to kill us."
Well, yeah. He's like, "You psycho son of a bitch! You're about to kill both of us."
Yeah. And he's, Rick is hitting the walkers with the bat, and then they fight. He drops it. Negan picks that up, and then Rick still has his axe. So Negan actually jumps out, kind of gets pushed into a window, but jumps out a window. Rick goes after him. Negan's gone. Yeah. The whole, that room is on fire because Lucille was on fire, and he set walkers on fire. Yeah. So Negan is out of the room. He's gone. Don't know where he is until
Rick follows him.
Yeah,
Rick jumps out the window, but a little too late. Should we reveal this or cut to the hilltop?
Let's go to the hilltop.
Yeah, we'll cut to the hilltop.
We'll go to the hilltop, yeah.
So while Maggie is actually on top of the lookout on the hilltop walls, she discovers a crate looking through a set of binoculars. A crate with, I believe it was a balloon attached to it.
A balloon with a note on it, yeah.
When they discover what this is, which threw me off, I'm like, what the heck is this? Maggie, Michonne, Enid, and basically the main people at the hilltop think that this is possibly a trap by the Saviors. But what they discover is a note in this crate saying, "Give us music." I think it was music. Fill up these 4 crates with music, and we will provide you with information.
The key.
The key. That's right. Sorry.
The key to the future.
That's what it is. The key.
The key
to the future.
Yeah.
And they designate a meetup, a spot for the exchange of the key and the music.
Yep. So they get on the road and they pull up next to this van that's been lifted up with these massive mutters on it.
Looks like a Scooby-Doo type van.
Yeah. And these 2 women standing outside, and they open the door and a lady pops out. And it's a short lady, short blonde hair, glasses, dressed very nice, very
business
professional,
precision.
Very. And when I saw the actress, I almost laughed. I was like, Jane Atkinson, really? I don't know if you know Jane Atkinson. She's been in a lot of stuff. And she talks very, very proper. And she's basically, when she asks about the music, it has to be instrumental. No singing at all. No words, she says. It has to be. So the point of it is that we don't know if there's any more of them. It's just, all we know is just those 3.
So,
and the point of what they do is that they go out, they leave these exchanges for people to do bartering, exchanging. And it's very hard for Maggie and especially Enid to understand. Enid doesn't understand that. She's like, how are you even alive? There's no way that you should still be alive right now.
Doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
First of all, Maggie and Enid are holding these people at gunpoint. Mm-hmm. They take their weapons from them. Yep.
Her name is George. Her name is Georgie, by the way. The lady, her name is Georgie.
Michonne is just standing there because obviously Michonne wants to make the deal with them to see what they have. Mm-hmm. But Maggie's hesitant, and a matter of fact, Maggie holds him at gunpoint. And we find out that the key is actually knowledge. What Georgie is willing to do is, if they are provided with the music, then they will in turn share what knowledge they have with Maggie.
And George even mentions, you seem like you are a fit group of people, because I don't want to be giving this knowledge to the weak.
She wasn't scared either.
She was not scared at all.
She was not.
She was very confident
at all.
Even when Maggie was like, "Yeah, we are," like after she says not weak, Maggie says, looks over to her side, and Rosita comes up from behind them, which they didn't know she didn't know that she was they were
also
there,
holding them at gunpoint.
But they weren't. They didn't flinch. Like even the girl that was closest to Rosita, like she just turned her head and didn't flinch at all. So they're very confident. They're not scared.
And more importantly, one of the critical things here was that Georgie says to Maggie, "We've been doing this for quite some time, and we have not run across a community in a long time."
Yeah.
And she says, matter of fact, you're one of the only communities that we've run across. Mm-hmm. So we can tell that you're good people because you have this community, and we want to show you that, look, we can be civilized again.
Right.
We need to get to some point where people can be civilized with each other.
Right.
And sharing this knowledge is exactly and that barter system is exactly what the world needs.
Yeah. Another big takeaway is that, Rosita, Maggie tells Rosita to go to the back of the van. She opens it, and they have a lot of food preserves. And the funny thing is that the first thing that I thought of is that ever since like season 2 all the way up, whenever they met new people, they always asked them, where do they come from, and how many people do they have with, how many people do you have? That question never got asked, because Maggie's mind right now is everyone is starving at the Hilltop. Mm-hmm. She sees that they have a ton of food. They're like, we're just going to take your shit. Yeah. Almost like Negan. There's like, we're just going to take your crap because we need food. So they bypassed that question immediately.
And rather than making the deal, they decide to take Georgie and her I forgot the 2 girls' names behind Georgie.
I think one's Denise and one's something else.
But anyway, they take them back to the Hilltop. Mm-hmm. And this is where there's a struggle between Michonne and Maggie and Enid, primarily. Especially Enid.
She was like...
She's falling apart.
She's falling apart. We understand. But she's just like, look, they do not deserve to be doing what they're doing, in a sense. They should not even be out there. Why should we care about people who are putting their own lives at risk? Let's just take their shit and be done with it.
Literally what she, except for the word shit, that's literally what she said.
And Michonne has all the reasoning in the world, which has come from Carl.
Yeah.
She is making a point to like, look, man, she even tells Enid, Carl was brave. And Enid kind of didn't like that. It's like, well, he's dead now. But, Michonne makes her plea to basically, look, we have to change. We have to do something. Carl wanted us to change. We have to live up to what he wants us to be.
Yeah. And more importantly, towards the end with Enid, after their kind of struggle with each other, Michonne says, look, the saviors are going to come. We're going to fight them. Mm-hmm. But in the end, there still has to be something left.
There has to be something after.
Yep.
Yeah. Same thing what Carl said. So, so Maggie does decide to honor the deal. She gives him a crate of the music, and Georgie actually alters the deal. She says, "Look, we'll take this crate, but we're also going to give you a sizable amount of our own food." Maggie is taken back by this. She's like, "You're giving us food." She's like, "You guys, seems like you guys just need it more than we do." And then we get to the key, which is her plan, which she says she knows a lot of it came from her mind, which she made copies. And the biggest thing is that she has taken us back to the medieval times of how human beings lived before any technology. So there's plans for aqueducts, windmills, making food and all this other stuff. So
intricate steps on how to do all of the survival things that people did before we had the resources to build skyscrapers and massive buildings with fuel and stuff like that. So she hands Maggie this huge binder, this like huge ringed binder, and really what it's doing is laying the groundwork for the Hilltop to be a thriving community.
Yep. And that is Georgie's vision. She says, look, we have to basically survive. Well, not really survive, but we have to look to our past to be able to go forward in our future. So our medieval past, which is what she said, of doing these things by hand, building these things to survive. And Which is great because that's what you need. I mean, you're in a dead world now. You don't have access to water pumps and stuff like that. So make your own aqueducts, make your own windmills, you know, plant seeds and all this other stuff. So it's really great.
At first, when I first saw Georgie and this whole storyline, I'm like, this is crap. But I actually ended up really enjoying this little arc.
I think it's cool. We'll get more into it in our predictions, but definitely. I don't think that we're gonna. Yeah, we'll get more into it.
Yeah, we'll do that in our predictions video. We'll talk about Georgie. We may even have a separate video for Georgie, just to kind of discuss what we think is going to happen. So anyway, we end the episode right with Negan passed out in a car, and he is awoken to someone driving him.
Jadis. I have no idea where she picked him up at.
More importantly, at gunpoint.
It's at gunpoint. Yeah. And Negan laughs and says like, oh, well, look at what we have here or something, and she knocks him out again.
She knocks him out.
So where the heck did Jadis come from? What is Jadis going to do? Is she gonna take him to Rick? I don't know. She's gonna take him back to the heaps, back to the dump, and
she can't show him any evidence because all of them. We'll talk about this in a predictions video.
Yeah. So I don't know. So that was interesting of how it ended, but I think that it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it was really nice to see an episode with a twist.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things in this episode that I didn't expect. Kind of. Yeah, taken back on several occasions, and I was glad to get an episode like that. It was a really great episode, in my opinion.
I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was great. And stay tuned for our predictions video because the next episode looks like it's going to be happening.
Yeah, definitely. A lot sooner than we thought. So, guys, let us know what you thought of episode 12 of The Walking Dead, The Key. Give the video a thumbs up. Let us know what you thought. Thank you for hanging in there, watching this video. Follow us at NocBro Nation on Twitter.
That's right, guys. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. Please comment and always be respectful in the comments, guys. We really do appreciate having our conversations back and forth. So stay tuned for our predictions video. We are NocBro Nation.
We're out.